the dam levels and the rainfall patterns shows quite close to the trend of 97-98. That's why there's a lot of fear from the industry players. For example, yesterday there was about 14 millimeter rainfall in the water catchment for Sungai Selangor Dam, but it only went up by 0.1, 0.2%. And if you have 14%, that 14 millimeter rain somewhere in other dams, it will go up quite fast, because the Sungai Selangor Dam is quite a big dam. It's supplying almost 60% raw water need for 4 water treatment plant, and a cumulative amount of water treatment or treated water that is supplied to the domestic consumers and industrial consumers is at about 2,500 million litre per day. That is more than 50% of treated water demand in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor and Putrajaya. We actually contacted the UK Met Department. They have actually have their own modelling for El Nino. They have run this model, and they have actually highlighted to us that there's a 70% probability that El Nino will take place, because the bad or the severe El Nino that we were hit was a dry season. And like for example in Klang Valley, we had water rationing for almost 5 months, right, during the El Nino. So what would be the next step? So the agencies who are involved should look at how they're going to prepare for the raw water preparation. Do they have enough retention ponds? For example, in the Sungai Selangor Dam, it's only at 41% now. If El Nino comes in by mid of the year, how are they going to cope? And even some local experts are looking at El Nino that will be lasting for 6 months. Can the dam last? Can other dams last? And if we look at the bigger scope, what about other states? Not only blaming at consumers that are using more water, are the agencies prepared to face severe conditions like this?
嗱咁我哋咪好慘，唔好講我哋咪好慘，成日日日諗住制水壓力好重咁啊，日日咁制水我哋壓力好重啊，話今日得閒咗夜咗諗，哎呀聽日冇水啦，快啲裝水咯，你去邊度都好啊，話食嘢梗係唔愛煮噶咯，冇水嚟出去食下，快啲管翻嚟裝水啊，聽日冇水嚟仲慘啊，嗰啲嘢揦揦喳喳啊。
In the Bestari Jaya, they're taking ex-mining pool water. Then they also look at Horas and groundwater. Both Horas and groundwater is not a project that's going to be completed this year. If we look at the overall situation, if the predictions are correct, if a severe dry season is going to come, there is a high possibility that we're going to go into another rationing, and this time it might be worse because we don't have the dam levels to assist us. And the next intermediate monsoon we are looking at September, October, provided the El Nino does not affect that monsoon, they need to look at retention pond. This is something that I think they can work with the Department of Irrigation and Drainage, because there's two ways of fighting flood and also fighting drought. If you look at during the rainfall seasons, you have so much of water which flooding the country. Now this is the water that usually you keep in retention ponds, and retention ponds, if you want to use it for raw water purposes, you must ensure that it is able to retain water long enough, because if during dry season the retention pond dries up, there's no function.
應該最好啊！政府啊，快啲啊，即係揾人去，或者挖嗰啲人家以前嗰啲井啊，係咪？或者挖嗰啲氹，或者呢個駁過嚟咁樣駁過嚟，睇邊度有嗰啲氹有啲水啊，係咪？啊駁過嚟咁咪唔驚我哋冇水用咯。政府啊諗辦法咯，唔係我哋人民諗辦法嘛，係咪先？啊。
If you look at the overall expenditure to mitigate this climate change, this particular water crisis in Klang Valley, they spent almost $1 billion, close to $1 billion. Can you imagine if that $1 billion is actually pumped into NRW reduction? We would have saved this water crisis. We would be able to mitigate or even swim through quite neck to neck in the next coming El Nino if it's going to be quite serious. So these are things that only when it happens, only when it goes very severe, then they'll say, I should have done that.